Hello and a very warm welcome. Good evening to today's session. Um, I am continuously looking at the feedback all of you are sending to me after attending these sessions. Some people wrote to me about Microsoft Access session as well being good. Some said it was too difficult. Um, we did it at a very basic level, but I'm sure that was good learning for you. But from what we have done so far, and as a whole, if you look at the work we've done in Microsoft Excel, again, very high level. We haven't gone to the nitty gritties or the kind of work that professional accountants in the early years will be required to do. We're keeping that that the pitch of the program at a level where you're playing with data, you're compiling information, you're analyzing information, you are presenting that information in a nice manner, and these are essentials. These are the essential aspects of learning these applications. The very basic elements of it, we'd rather leave it to you people to try and figure out, to try and apply, in your different phases when you're working. So today's session as well, very happy to introduce Ali Ashraf to you. Ali Ashraf was a colleague at ACCA, an accomplished individual. He's done very well. Started as a business development manager, left ACCA at the position of head of business development for our northern region, and he's made a nice move. He's moved to an organization by the name Hatch. Without going into further details about what does this organization do, one very important thing that we've always worked on, whenever ACCA was to present anything, whenever ACCA was to make a presentation, we used to make our presentations very dynamic, to the point, not boring, not taxi, not too much images, but very punchy presentations. So the purpose of bringing Ali in, Ali is an expert in making presentations, and especially presentations which are based on data. So the purpose is not to, once again, please remember that, the purpose is not to teach you Microsoft PowerPoint. The purpose is to tell you what are modern presentations like. What do they look like? How do they create an impact? Right? What should you avoid in doing presentations or making presentations? And what is a must if you're making presentation? But by the way, making presentations, if you have to grow in your career, if you want a leadership, a C-level position for yourself in your career, making presentation is a very vital element. I can't stress more on that, but it's an extremely important element. And unless your presentations are punchy, they're delivered in with confidence, they're very nice, modern looking, they will not make an impact, and people will take your presentations as boring, and they will not listen to it. Um, what we plan on doing is that today's session, Ali is going to, I'm sure, share a lot of details with you on how infographics work in presentations, etc. But the application of this is going to start right after that, which means the next sessions that we're going to have are going to be on Power BI, which goes to say that you're going to have a lot of data available and to analyze, and that data available and that analysis then to reflect in your presentations. So that is one thing that you will be doing more of in your unmoderated sessions, right? So be prepared for that, please. Secondly, I'm going to lead case studies with you. I'm going to run some international case studies for you, and in those case studies also I will be asking you to analyze and to present information, and I will be particularly be looking at your learnings from this particular session. So this is a very important session. Please make Ali's life difficult. Please ask him loads of questions. Don't let him go away unless you have fully quenched your thirst of how to make good presentations. So with that, Ali is smiling because he knows there's a lot of interaction coming. Ali, by the way, our group of members and future members are very interactive. They would love to be unmuted. They would love to be, to be given an opportunity to ask questions. Feroz is going to help you with, with the questions dialog box. But I'm sure you can also unmute individuals from time to time and give them an opportunity to talk. You'll be amazed at how interactive this group of future members and members are. So guys, don't disappoint us. It's going to be an excellent, should be an excellent session, and should be a lot of learning for you. I will be looking at feedback after the session, and before any further ado, this is only going to be a 1 hour 45-minute session. Now we've only taken through 15 minutes of yours. So without any further delay, let me hand over to Ali, who's going to run the session for you. Ali, over to you.
Thank you, Harun. Before I say anything, can somebody confirm from the audience's side that they can hear me and they can see me without any delay and without any issues? Maybe in the chat, and if Feroz could confirm.
Yes, you're perfectly live.
I'm not able to see the chat area. Can you enable that? So if anybody,
It's enabled.
if I ask questions, I want to.
You have to undock the
Sorry?
questions box. You have to undock the questions box from the control panel at the right side. You just select it and drag it towards left side of your screen.
No, Feroz, the questions are not visible to presenters and
Oh,
panelists.
okay.
They are visible to organizers. So you'll have to make Ali an organizer as well.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah, in the meantime, let me.
Ali, I have made you the organizer. Now you
Let's.
might have to unmute. Okay.
So, sorry.
You're the organizer. You can undock the question box now, and you're good to go.
Okay, so I can. Oh, okay, so I have the audience now in the chat as
Yes.
well. Okay,
Yes,
yes,
Ali,
okay,
just
great.
just
So,
just a second before you continue, just a quick thing. We want people to be able to see each other's comments as well. So if you can go to the file menu option and go to webinar, and then go to preferences. Sorry, not preferences, labs, right underneath preferences. And there's this third option that says include go to webinar during screen sharing. So if you do that, your questions dialog box is going to be visible to all participants as well,
okay.
and that way they'll be able to see each other's responses as well.
Okay,
So
so
if you
I
do
think
that, we'll
that's
also
where
be
I
able
think
to
you were
see it.
saying, there's a difference between Mac and Windows. So the settings that you took me through, these are not the options here. So what I'll do is, so I think let's keep everything on the chat area. I think chat is something that everybody can view from their end as well. So let's keep it in the chat area. If there are any questions, just type it in the chat as well. So I'll be uh, speaking, and then I'll be announcing the question as well. So I think it won't be an issue either way. So okay, guys. So just like Harun just said, don't expect to be a PowerPoint guru right after this session. Trust me, that's not going to happen at all. If you guys have seen the movie Inception, I think something of that sort would happen. I'll try to plant an idea of how things are supposed to be and how things should work. And I think if you can take away that from the session, I think that's I'll see this session as a success if that happens. So I've joined Hatch. Hatch is a co-working space, an incubator and an accelerator. So Hatch has been operational in Sri Lanka for the last 3 years, and it has recently won the Global Best Co-working Space Award as well. So I'm looking after their operations here in Pakistan. We are planning to open up 5 locations, starting with 2 in Lahore, 1 in Islamabad, 1 in Multan, 1 in Sialkot. And maybe in Karachi if things turn our way. So let me just right straight away get into what you would be getting right after the session. So yes, you would understand the flow of a presentation, the beginning and the end. I'll also talk about the 10, 20, 30 rule. It's very widely accepted. People deviate, people change it a bit according to their audience and the objective, but that's a good rule to know. And how to build a story while you present. And that's very important, especially given the COVID era. It's all about the story. I mean, right now, if you guys were sitting in front of me in a large classroom, the attention and the level of involvement would have been very different. It's a little difficult to have that attention while you're sitting at home, where you can, look at your mobile phones, or maybe, talk to your wives or your friends or family or kids while you're listening to me. So it's a little difficult. So if you build a story, you can immediately capture the audience and then ensure that they at least try to figure out what the story is from what you're saying. And I'll also talk about some of the basic tabs of PowerPoint, so that at the end um, um, you could use the recording of this session to sort of build your own slides. So I'll talk about that, and I'll make a few slides as well. So you'll get a basic. You would be able to make a basic pitch deck right after the session. You would be able to make impactful presentations as well if you follow the rules. What you won't be able to do is, like I said, you won't be able to become a PowerPoint guru, that's for sure. And just to give you a little background, I've been doing a lot of freelancing as well on Upwork. And I think by only using PowerPoint as a selling criteria for myself, I think I've been able to earn like somewhere around 15 to 16,000 US dollars over the span of the last 3 years. There is a lot of demand for somebody who can pick the overall idea, the overall content from somebody who wants to present, and and then give it to somebody who can then turn that idea into something visual, and then try to ensure that whatever the person who has created that content or inceptualized the idea would be able to throw it right to the audience as and when they want. And your job as the middle individual is to convert that raw information and the raw data into something that can be presented, and something that has an impact. So you won't be able to become a PowerPoint guru. You will have to spend a lot of time understanding, making stuff, and seeing, getting inspiration from other platforms as well. And then I think, you would know yourself, where do you stand. We won't be able to go into each and every function in each and every tab of PowerPoint. And trust me when I say this, that people have used PowerPoint to code or sort of make small presentations mobile apps using PowerPoint as well. I mean, they've structured the slide design as in a way that they make every tab clickable, and they sort of take the audience through a mobile app rather than the PowerPoint presentation. And you won't be able to become a public speaker as well. So there's one thing of understanding how PowerPoint works and how to make good, effective presentations using the tool, but the public speaking part is something that's at your end. You need a lot of preparation for the impactful presentation to be actually impactful. So I'll try to cover a bit about how to speak in a way that's more impactful, and I think one thing that helps is that since I'm not in front of you guys, or if somebody is watching it, looking at a screen and then presenting, I think they would be much comfortable in presenting, because there's nobody there, there's nobody making any faces, nobody seems bored, and stuff like that. So that does give a good benefit. But when you are in your own office settings, you're sitting in front of the top management in a boardroom and then presenting, trust me, a presentation would have no value if you wouldn't be a good public speaker. So I will try to cover that, but you won't become an excellent public speaker at that. So what's the agenda like? So we'll talk about why PowerPoint, what are the alternative mediums, etc. PowerPoint as an extension to the presentation, content flow. We'll talk about the 10-20-30 rule, We'll talk about a little about the tabs of PowerPoint. We'll also look at two sample presentations. I'll also try to give you an exercise that you would have to do after the session, not necessarily during the presentation, and then we'll conclude the session. All right. So why PowerPoint? PowerPoint is something that is used around the world. That's one. And since that's a software that's available on all types of machines, so it's good to have a presentation made which could be easily shared. That's one. The second thing is that it's very user friendly. It has been available for quite some time now, and that has allowed Microsoft to improve the user experience, the content, the arrangement of functions. So it's very user friendly. And thirdly, like I said before, it's very powerful. People are using PowerPoint to make their own resumes, to make brochures, to make company profiles, because you just save the profile or the company portfolio in a PDF format when you're saving the file, and that's it. That's all that you need. So you don't need a lot of this Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop to sort of make that company profiles, even your flyers or brochures, etc. People do it on PowerPoint very frequently. So some of the alternatives include Prezi, Sway, Slidebean, Keynote, Google Slides, Visme, and there's one that has recently been added. It's called Canva. I'll try to add it in the chat here. Canva has become a big tool. People use it to create their social media content, their social media ads. They use it to create online invitations. Now they can also make presentations because they have all of these pre-built templates, all of these free pictures and illustrations and infographics like Harun was talking about that are pre-built, and you just need to add your content in, and that's it. That's all you need to do in Canva. So do explore Canva as well, apart from PowerPoint. And one of the toughest one here is Prezi, because Prezi is more to do with Flash. It has animations and stuff. So if you get a hand of Prezi, if you sort of get a hang of it, I think you would create a lot of impactful presentations using that particular software. Anyways, let's jump ahead. So yeah, so now we'll get into the core aspect of how to have a impactful presentation. One is you have to be very clear about the objective of the presentation. That's the most important part. And the second thing is the audience. So just let me give some examples, and I would like people to add their comments in the chat as well, so that I can have a view. All right, so in a professional setting, and since I've worked in sales a lot, before and after, before you get into your sales, you've been asked to do a forecast, and then that forecast needs to be presented in a presentation format, and that those numbers need to align with the company goals, and then you ask for help, or you ask for support required internally and externally to achieve that particular target. That's your responsibility, and that which would eventually impact the goal of the organization or the targets of the organization. So that is one of a typical setting where the objective is for you to tell the management what's required and what's the target that you'll be able to achieve given the resources. The audience, who's the audience? The audience is the internal organization. So you can for the internal organization, what's important. So in this particular setting, for the internal audience, the time frame is important. The numbers of the sale numbers are important. The support required is important. The budget that's allocated for all of the marketing and sales activities, all of this is important. So I know that these four things are important to the audience in this particular example. So my job is to include all of these aspects in the presentation, and it has to build a story. And I'll just give you a very short example because we'll get into the story part later on as well. So for me, the story would build from the top. So this is my organization's goal to become, for example, #1 accounting, So let's not get into the ACC part. Let's look at the hatch. So we want to become the #1 co-working space in the world. So that's our target. Um, my target for Pakistan is that um, each and every individual that comes into the co-working space um, gets their needs and gets their objectives fulfilled, and in return they get their they improve their lives from whatever they learn at Hatch. So I know for a fact that 5 locations mean 1,000 seats in the premises. So I need to ensure that those 1,000 seats are filled within the next 3 to 4 years, and then those 1,000 seats would be able to access a lot of opportunities that we would be able to provide. So the vision, the story would be to improve lives everywhere and become #1 in the world. In Pakistan, we'll be able to influence 1,000 members, 1,000 people within the premises, and countless people outside the organization. We need to be able to have X amount of events, X amount of startups, X amount of activities done, which would in turn help us generate or connect us with the vision initially for Pakistan. So this is how you build sort of a story, and since the audience is the internal audience, so I need to show all of the numbers, the capital expenditure, the operational expenditures required, how long will it take for us to to reach break even, when will we be earning profit, what's the profit margin for each and every section of the co-working space, food, the gym, the gaming area, etc., etc. So this is how you sort of build a story. um, so um, so let's look at how when you start building a presentation. So the first thing is to sort of have a good template. And I would, like to ask a question to the audience, and I would encourage them to, put it in the chat. Um, in organizations where you have a particular slide template, I think the company provides that template, and that's available. Is there anybody in amongst the audience that does not have a slide template? I don't think anybody's writing. Is the slide available? Are these slides available? 6:31. So anybody who does not have a slide template while working in an organization, that's available to them. Yeah,
Ali
no,
Abdurrahman
maybe.
and Ghulam Fareed, these two have highlighted that they don't have a slide template for their organization. Nadia Rahman has one.
All
Afzal
right.
Hussain also, he doesn't have one.
All
Akib
right.
Noor, yeah, there are audience they don't
All
have
right.
template.
All right, great, great. So the reason why I was asking about the template part is um, organizations where they have a template, they have everything built for you. So they have like a slide header, they have the content area, and then they have the logos placed very nicely, and then you can do whatever you want. The issue is with people who don't have a slide template and they have to make something internally and externally as well. So what do you do there? The first step is to look at um, your company website, the fonts that they have used, the color schemes that they have used throughout the website. I think that would help you make your own template, or may at least give you an idea of what the template should be like. And when I'll make those slides right after that I complete the content, I'll show you how you sort of have that built. Um, so the slide template, go for the company template if you have. If you don't have, you can look for a lot of online resources which are freely available, or you can purchase some templates and then sort of customize them. And lastly, you can make your own through Slide Master. Whatever template that you buy online is a template, or is a file that has been developed by somebody who has opened PowerPoint and then gone into Slide Master and then created all those slide templates using that Slide Master. And that's what people sell. And I think a good area would be to look at theme forest. I think that's another, let me type that in. I think you will be able to see a lot of PowerPoint presentations and templates, and how, you know, they sort of have, and the styles that they have. So if you want inspiration on how the slides should look like, you know, that's a good place to look at. All right, so I think you'll, during your professional career, you'll come across a number of slides, and you know, one of the slide examples that I just put here is a big no for me. I think there's too much content. There's a lot of you know, text, and trust me, when you're speaking, either people are listening to you, and when you have a lot of content, they would start reading and stop listening to you. So that's a big no-no. Then people sort of have like entire executive summaries, because I think from a professional standpoint, people sort of believe that they've done something really good, and they want the audience to actually know that they've put in work, and they believe that the only way to show this is through putting everything that they've done on the slides, and that's a bad idea. There are people, especially people who are good with, you know, statistics and numbers. They tend to put you know, a lot of you know, graphs and stuff. um, I think uh, somebody told me a very simple rule, and I think that has helped me a lot. Think of the audience as your grandmother, and think of how you can convey the message in a way all your, you know, technical information about the company, all those graphs and whatever, what have you, um, in a way that your grandmother understands, whether if your company is doing well or doing not so well, etc., etc. So that is like the, you know, that the easiest benchmark you could have to structure a slide. Yeah, something like this. People, you know, tend to put a number of graphs just to show that they have done work, and or and when you sort of have you know, well you know, well established professionals in front of you, they'll immediately guess that you know, this individual is putting so many graphs just to detract us from the main issue, or just to, you know, waste time. So people also know. So it's not just about you knowing a lot and you putting it you know, on the slides. It's also the other part is that you offend the audience as well, especially when it's professional audience. um, and something of this sort, people, there's a big mismatch on, you know, what the topic is about and the pictures used. And even when the picture is relevant to the content, you have, you know, text in front of it, which sort of creates this issue in reading, because you're assuming that people will be as close to the screen as you are, but eventually, but in actuality, you would be presenting standing in front of, you know, either a projector or an LED, LCD screen, and people will be sitting in like rows. So you have to understand that the text size should be big enough so that they could, you know, read, and visible enough so that it's not distracting with the images that you've used. All right. So flow and story. I think this is the most important part of today's session. So I think all of those people who have sort of, you know, written an essay, I think every single individual might have gone through this. There's an introduction, there's a main body, and there's a conclusion of any essay or any letter or any you know, story that you know, come across. Um, Within the introduction part, you have something called a thesis statement. A thesis statement tells the reader what to expect um, in the coming passages, and not enough so that they would stop reading right there and then. So you want to tell them what to expect, but not the conclusion or not the entire story. That's a thesis statement. Then you have the main body with all those supporting points and data, you know, whatnot, that's, you know, in line with the thesis statement. And then you have a conclusion that normally has a call to action around future outlook on what needs to be done, the support required, etc., etc. So what you need to do understand is, let's look at the introduction part, because the introduction part is something where you can create that impact. In the introduction, you have a number of ways to capture interest of the audience. One, you can use humor. Second, you can talk about facts. Three, you can scare, and it's not scare on purpose, but you can use facts that are worrisome. For example, there's one fact that I came across recently, and I think it's to me it's very worrisome. That's around the debt that each and every Pakistani individual owes because of the debt the country has taken. So last year, every Pakistani owed 187,000 rupees. Now it's 283 or 86,000 that every Pakistani has to owes the government, because the government has taken loan from number of parties. So when you start off with this, people start thinking around, oh, I have to give money. Why do I have to give money? What's happening? Tell me more. So that's why you use the scare tactic. So right when for example, if you start with this, so everybody would want to listen what's ahead. Why am I owing this much money? And then you talk about an opportunity, or you talk about a problem. So I think there are a lot of other ways as well, but these five are very commonly used, and most of your scenarios could fit into these five criteria. So what are some of the steps for the flow? So while making a PowerPoint slide, you need to write the headings first of what the slide would talk about, and you completely do this with the entire slide deck. So you write the heading, and then you start to build a story. So this will talk about this, this will talk about this, this is where I'll show data, this is where I'll show the results, and this is where I'll show recommendation, and this is where I'll talk about the conclusion. So you have these headings, and all of these McKinsey, BCG, and Bain, all of these consulting companies, they have this rule called the 2080 rule, where they say that 20% of what you're talking about needs to be in the slides, the heading of the slides. So even if I'm not reading anything underneath the slide, if I read the heading, I should be able to know what you're talking about, and I can easily skim through the slide deck. Because the other thing about being in being a professional in today's environment is that people don't have a lot of time. They want to get to get to their information as quickly as possible, and the best possible way for that to happen in a slide deck is for you to have the entire content ready on the heading part of the slide. So you have it there. I'll show you a few examples of how that can be done, and then you sort of have the content heading, something of the sort. So what's next? So we have the slide structuring. So this is the 10, 20, 30 rule. So the presentation should have 10 slides, not more. That's one. Time should be 20 minutes for the entire slide deck. That's the second part. And the third part is the font size used is 30. So an example slide would be something like this. So we talk about a problem. COVID-19 has caused lockdowns, and people are working from home. Health is an issue because of sedentary lifestyle. So the problem is sedentary lifestyle, and you see a picture of the coronavirus, and that sort of gives you an idea in a couple of seconds what the individual is talking about. And again, I'll give an example that this is a scare tactic. Because of sedentary lifestyle, there's a highly likelihood chance that you'll be able to contract or COVID, and then you'll have worse situations. Let's also look at some of the animations that are available. So good animations is something like this. You talk about point A, point B, and point C. And trust me, when you have animations, the entire purpose of the animation is not to make the slides fancy. You want to control the amount of information on the slides. So for example, if I don't want you to look at the points that I'm going to talk about, I want that to come through an animation. So I'll talk about point one. You're not distracted. You only see this content on the slides. Then I talk about point B, and then about point C. So I control the flow of information that's going through you to you, and that's through animations. What people do is something like this. So they'll have all of these, and they think that it's cool, but it's not. You have points flying in. You have something like this, and then this is my favorite bit, which and trust me, this animation is something that one of my classmates did throughout his presentation. That 15-minute slide deck took about uh, 1 hour and 15 minutes to finish, simply because of this, this animation. And the good thing was that our instructor did not stop him, because she wanted to ensure that he gets through it, and the audience, gives an actual feedback of what he's actually done, because we were bored like anything. Um, and lastly, we have the call to action. Um, so, like we talked about it, mostly on slide decks, especially nowadays when you have a lot of startups coming in, everything is around investment. So we need to have the last slide needs to indicate the investment required to achieve what the founders have talked about in previously. Um, it can either be solving a problem, and that's mostly used in a corporate setting, or you realize an opportunity, again something that's very common. Then there's also a scenario where you're providing information for decision makers to actually make decisions. So you just tell them, okay, so you wanted to know about what industry to invest in. This is what I've come across. Number of attractive industries. This is the priority, and I think I'll leave it up to you to decide. You want to invest in the most attractive industry, but there's a lot of competition, or you want to invest in an industry which doesn't have a lot of competition, but the industry is not that attractive because the technology and other areas are lagging behind as compared to the rest of the world, etc., etc. Um, it can be a performance review of the company, of the individual, of the project, etc. So I've come across these areas only when coming when doing PowerPoint presentations in a professional setting. Otherwise, sometimes it's just for information as well, not for decision making, just to create awareness. Um, so that's call to action for you. And here is an example that I've made on create how I would say an impactful, sweet, simple 1 minute impactful presentation look like. So for me, how I would go about this is that who says coffee is bad? I know it's not me. I certainly have had coffee a lot, um, and especially when it comes from something so good. Yeah, these coffee beans. Um, so let's grab a coffee during quarantine. You can order one online through my store. Just head on to grabcoffee.pk, and you can get 10% discount on the first 100 orders. That's it. So whatever, all of these animations that you're seeing, everything is done through PowerPoint. There are a lot of YouTube videos, tutorials on how you create this, how you have an effect of people do this blurry and stuff like that. But everything is available online. Um, this is an example of what I talked about initially as well. Just look at how much these guys have earned. More than 100,000 US dollars have been earned by these two people, and these are just two examples from 1,000 of people or freelancers that are available on Upwork, who sort of use this skill to earn a lot of money. So even if you think that PowerPoint is something that you need for your professional growth, and you might think that, okay, I'll focus on it, and you take some time, but if you really focus on it, and if you have that time, I think you would be able to have like some side earnings as well. um, some of the resources that I would like you guys to take home is to visit these websites. So Flat Icons is a place where you get a lot of icons. Then you have Unsplash, and there are a lot of other websites like Unsplash that give you stock pictures, but they're royalty free, so you don't have to buy them. Then you have Office templates that is available on Microsoft's official website. And then in terms of fonts, always try to use Google Fonts, because these fonts are available for free. And the people that you're sending your PowerPoint presentation to can also download these fonts very easily. So I would say you stick to these fonts. So what I'll do is I'll take a few questions right now, and then I'll talk about how you sort of build that presentation. And I think I'll take an example of a company, the people who said that they don't have any PowerPoint or any slide deck. So I think I'll take one of those companies, and I'll build as an example. Can you please repeat slide structure? Okay, I'll repeat that. Put these links in chat box or handout section. I think let me put it in the slide. Let me put that. I think if I put it in chat, it will be visible. I think so. Yeah, I think it will be visible. So these are the links. There are a lot of others, but I think these are some of the ones that are actually. Kindly ensure to have a short break midway. Definitely after 10 minutes, I think we can have a short break. Okay, so somebody said we need to repeat the slide structure. Slide structure. This one. So I think this was very simple. So this is called 10 20 30 rule. So you need 10 slides only. That's one. The second thing is you need 20 minutes for the entire 10 slides to be completed, not more than 20 minutes, otherwise it'll get boring. And then you need to have the font size 30 on all of the slides, which means that you can't put a lot of content on the slide because it's large. So you need to talk about something very precise. So that's how, that's one of the ways to structure a slide. But as you can see, the way I've structured these slides that I'm presenting you is not according to this rule, because my audience is a bit different. I've tried to use a bigger font, but I know that since you guys are going to view these slides through on your laptops or mobile devices, you'll be able to see them clearly. There'll not be an issue with the font size, so I can sort of skip this rule. So like I said initially, it depends on the objective and the audience. Somebody has raised their hand. Ijaz Hussain and Muhammad Abdullah. Can you sort of type in content or your questions in the question box? Can you please share this presentation file? I would not like to, but I think Firoz already has these slides. I think I'll leave it up to him if he wants to share it with you or not. I think you will have a recording of this as well. Better if you can upload this handout or slides. I think Feroz would be able to do it. He has the slides. He will upload all of the slides, and you can get the links in the slide as well. Please explain the animation part. Okay, sure. Kindly show. Okay, that's it. All right. Usually for headings only. Yeah, you're right. But the thing is, that's not like a hard and fast rule as well, that for the heading 30 you use like 30 point, and then for the body you can't use 30 points. There's a way of using it. So let's do something. Let me sort of okay, let's do something. Let's take a 5-7 minutes break. Let's come back at 7 p.m. and we'll get into more details on the animations, structuring the slide, and how to etc etc. So let's get there.
Maybe can you give them a task in the meanwhile? I mean, we don't want them to go away. If you could give them a task to perform in the next 5 to 7 minutes before they come back.
Otherwise, they won't come back. Otherwise,
no. I mean, they should stay busy. I mean, that's what the purpose of the program is. I mean, we don't want interruptions or breaks. So give them some work to do.
Yeah, sure. So I think can you guys think of a topic and then create a slide, something similar to what you have in front of you right now. So, so I talked about this a while back when people were, going into all of this quarantine and stuff. So I think it will be good for you to come up with, one particular statement with a takeaway of what's happening. So one slide I think would be good enough as an example or as an activity right now.
That's a good idea.
So there's one question around, it is essential to be a good public speaker to master presenting? Okay, so there are two aspects to this. One, if you are like an average presenter, but you have really well designed presentation, I think that'll take you to that will compete with somebody who is a good presenter but has average or below average slides. So you'll be at par with that individual. And if you are a good presenter and you have really crappy slides, I think then it'll boil down to who the audience is, what they think about you, and then say, because it mostly what happens is that people who are extremely good presenters, they tend to do just enough to get the slides ready for what they want to achieve. So the audience also knows that since we are only listening to him for his idea, so just listen. Let's listen to the idea and forget about what the design part is. But in my experience, and trust me, this is coming from like 10 plus years of experience, working with people in the oil and gas sector, the education sector, even the freelance, the startup sector as well. Design matters a lot. Even if you're a good presenter, even if you have all of the things ready, the design really creates an impact. So it's just like you're interviewing somebody, and they come in front of you well dressed. So if they don't present that well, if they're lacking in some areas, that dressing part would actually tell you that okay, this individual has put in effort. And if you don't do that, and if there's somebody who is very good but he hasn't actually dressed up or has brushed his or her hair, I think that shows a bit of seriousness, that okay, so he or she is not even serious enough to at least dress properly. So why would I sort of hire somebody who hasn't even taken care of this essential part? So having good design is an essential part of being a good professional. And all of you are from accounting background. I think it is the most important part that you guys be best at it, because you guys are good in the technical part. You guys are good even at the speaking part. I think it's all to do with your own perception about yourself. You guys are very good presenters as well, because you're good at your own subject. So you present with passion as well, especially in a professional environment. The only thing that lags is the actual visual presentation. So if you've mastered that, I think you'll become an unstoppable force within that particular organization. According to 1020, how much time is required to get prepared for the presentation? Okay, so this question has been asked quite some time, and I think for me, 45 minutes per slide is my average that I spend creating a slide, because I need to understand and ensure that the slide does create an impact. The positioning of the text, the picture, etc., everything needs to create an impact. Just to give you guys an example, if you guys remember the title slide, let me jump to this title slide. So you have hatch. All right, you have the H that's slanted. That's part of the logo that you can see on the right side, and then you have this rocket coming out of the logo, and then you have these ripples behind the edge. So why did I use this? All right. So Hatch has a vision of improving lives everywhere. So we believe that we want to empower each and every individual that comes to us, and that empowered individual will not only improve their lives but lives of people around them. Hence, we are creating small ripples of change. So if we empower one individual, that individual would impact people around them. So he'll create that ripple within his particular setting. Another person would do it in their setting, then somebody else, then somebody else, then somebody else. So we'll create all of these ripples in the society, and those ripples are ripples of change, of improvement, of value, etc., etc. So all of these rings around the edge is to sort of represent that ripple. So it's Hatch creating that ripple. Why the rocket coming out of Hatch? Because we want to disrupt, we want to change, we want to shoot up in from what we are doing right now. So this title slide alone took me like an hour, because I wanted to, I wasn't getting the right rocket. The ripples were not making sense. The color was not making sense. So it took me like an hour. But it took me an hour. It looks good. If it would have took me like 5 minutes, you won't see this in front of you. So this is just to give you an example of how the brand is captured um, in the slides, and then the content and the vision of the brand comes through the presentation. And this is especially important for all of those who said that they don't have those company slides. So since we were building the brand here in Pakistan as well, so we did not have a slide template. So this is how I sort of structured the template. So let's use Arial font. Yes, let's use the Hatch logo at the bottom right corner, and then have section headers like these. I have done the task. Yes, it looks good. All right. Let me, I think it's 7. Yeah, it's 7. So let me make a, let me start working on the slides. Let's make a new slide deck. All right. Feroz, how would people submit their slides? I think I would like to look at one of you. One or two maybe.
We can identify the participant, and we can make them presenter. They can show their slide deck.
All right, so let's do one thing. So since I'm presenting, I'll make a few slides myself. The people who want to be, in front of the stage or on the stage with everybody, improve your slides and we'll look at it right at the end. I'll take like 3-4 volunteers. All right, so let's dive in. Can somebody sort of give me the name of their company that doesn't have a slide template that they have? Just type it in the questions area. I want to just look at the company and I'll give you an idea of how the slides should be like. Anybody? Rain Floods Company, Masala brand. Can you guys put in the company website? I just want to see. I think that's a better way. I might go into a company that's in maybe the Ukraine or stuff like that. Waves Plus. Let me see if I can find this. Waves Plus. Wavesplus.com. Yeah, I think I need the link. I need a website link. Okay, let's look at rain floods. Yeah, I think this is a good example. Rain floods. Company for logistics. So I think this is a logistics company, and the color that they've used, you guys can see my entire screen, right? Okay, yeah. So they've used a lot of blue, and there's a very, okay, so I don't have it here. Let me. So I have this plugin called what font. So basically any website you visit, you enable this plugin and it tells you what the font is. So it's showing that the font that they've used is Work Sans. All right, so Work Sans font. Oh, you see, it's a Google font, which is, which means it's freely available. You can install the font. So you can go to Google Fonts, type the font. You'll have, a button here that says download the family, and here it is. So you have, these are the entire fonts. That's just one. Let me install all the others, and I think we can make like a good template. And I think if I make this template, I would like to sell it to the company. I'm just kidding. Maybe I'm not. That depends on what we build. Okay, we are done. Let's look at the imagery that they've used. So they have a truck here. Let me see if I can. Truck. Okay, so let's go to unsplash.com, the website that I shared earlier, and let's look at trucks. Yeah, this is a good truck. Oh, no, this one. This one. Yeah, this is a good truck. All right, so one thing that you need to be careful about is when you use an image, try to use an image which has a lot of free space or negative space, you can say. Negative space is a design term used to, talk about a place where you can sort of have something else. So you have a lot of negative space here. So let's, download this image, or you can even, copy this image, and let's paste it here. Yeah. So I'm doing this very basic and freehand. I'm not even trying to put in a lot of effort, but I'm trying to show that how easy it is to sort of build, some sort of template. All right. Then I think I need to get the logo, and I hope that the company logo is it's available. Here it is. Okay, Rain Floods, and Rain Floods Company for Logistics. So that's their Rain Floods Company for Logistics. Yeah, let me see if we can work sense. All right. So in PowerPoint, just before I make some other changes, you have your home, insert, draw, all of these tabs. They're very self-explanatory, and I think this is something that you guys have done in the past when you guys were little kids. The thing that you like, you try to tear it apart, and I think the best way to learn PowerPoint presentations and stuff is to tear things apart as much as you can, and that means go into every single function, try every single function as possible. So I'll stay on the home tab, and from the home tab, I'll show you the basic things that I use so that things make sense. Let me use work sense. Where is work sense? Let's find work sense. If it's not there, I think I would need to close PowerPoint. So let's not close PowerPoint. Let's look at a similar font. Let's do this. And did I have, okay, so it's all caps. So there's a function called, which shows, an uppercase A turning into a lowercase a. So here is where you can, sort of, if you don't want to type everything, you can just, press on uppercase, and you'll have all of the text in uppercase. And since even on the website, it's in white, so let's change the font color through this particular function. Let's change it to white. And since I want people to know the company, so I'll increase the font size, the logo size. And then I also want to see the company blue. So I'll go to insert, and then I insert shapes. So you have this shapes section here, and I'll just want a simple sort of blue line running across with no outline. And I think the blue would be something like this. No, it was, I think, a little darker. Yeah, this one. And all right. So if you select all of the objects that you want, and you see that the text is behind the object, you want the text to come in front. So this is like the arrangement or reordering of the objects. So as soon as you select one or two objects collectively, you'll see that you'll have these options available. You want to sort of reorder objects, or simply right click and use this send to back. So I have sent it to back. I'll have this here. I'll have this here. So the truck is now not visible. So what I'll do is I'll click on this shape. I'll click on format shape. I'll go to fill, and I'll increase the transparency a little. So I can see the truck, I can see the title, and I can see the logo. So I think this is what I've done. So, okay, so now let me talk about some of the principles. And I think this is something that is only taught to designers. So I think it has all to do about lines. Think about lines. What does that mean? So one, in PowerPoint, when you move objects, let me increase this. When you move objects, you'll see these red lines, red dotted lines. These guide you on where you're putting the particular object. So always think about center, left, right, top, and bottom alignments. You always need to consider these. And a good thing about PowerPoint is that you can have a lot of guides as well. So for example, I want add a vertical guide. I can add a vertical guide, and I want to sort of use that vertical guide to guide my work. For example, the heading and the font, the logo needs to be aligned. So I use this vertical guide, and this vertical guide will now appear throughout the slide deck. For example, if I have a new slide, you'll see this vertical line here as well. Okay, what's the other part? The other part is that you need to have everything in the slide within an invisible square. That's the other rule. So for example, and since you move the guides, it gives you the precise location. So it's 15.8. Let's add another one again on 15.8. So I'll add another one here, 15.8, 15.8. And then I want, two horizontal as well. Guides, add an horizontal guide and see if we can. Let's keep it at 8.5. I think it's somewhat similar. And add another one, 8.5. All right. So whatever I do, whatever there is that needs to be on the slide needs to be inside this box, and nothing should be outside this box. Whenever you place text, whenever you place your headings, your body text, whatever, it needs to be inside this particular box. For example, and I'm not making this through slide deck. I'm not using the template that I just opened. I'm doing it right off the bat, just pasting text boxes and putting text in the boxes. So for example, look at this. The box is moving outside the lines that I've created, but since I have the lines there, I want the letters to exactly follow the lines. Why? I'll show that to you in a bit. Let's make this heading slide. Yeah, so here it is. I want the text to go above. So this is the heading slide. And then I want a lot of text beneath it. Slides. All right. And I want this to be in a lighter font so that it looks a bit nice. Yeah. And then I even want a bit of the logo on every particular slide. All right, so one, and again, I can get into number of details, number of areas. There's a little, we're a little short on time, so I just want to complete this particular slide template, and then I'll get into more questions. So whenever you copy a picture, and you have selected that picture, you have this tab right in front of you open that ask you to edit the format of the picture, and when you go into that tab, you have this function available on the left that says you can change the color of the the picture that you have. So since it was blue, and I think I want to focus on the blue, and I want the logo to be, let's take it on the top right corner. I want it to be here throughout the slides. So I can use now this particular slide, copy and paste it, and keep on adding content heading slide. Let's make it 2 and let's make it 1. So I have this, and this. So now you start seeing a template forming because you've used the fonts, you use the logo, you have a structure available of the text, of the heading, of the body text, etc., etc. Okay, so how can you add more value to this? So while presenting, you need to be able to show people content, and then people need to be able to ask questions around the content. How would they be able to do it? They'll be able to do that if they know where the content was. So you need slide number. You go to insert again, and then there's a function here called header and footer. Click on that. You can add slide number, and then if you want, you can add the date and time as well, and that gives you a number of options of how you want the date to be added. So if you click on that, you see that you have the date and the number, slide number as well. So let's have the slide number and date on every particular slide, and then you come down to thank you slide. Let's sort of finish this small template. So on the thank you slide, I want another photo. Let me get another picture of a truck because it's about logistics. Let's copy this, but this time let me show you how you use the picture, but not have a lot of negative space. Let's use the picture itself and sort of have a different style of having the template. Sorry, this part is a bit boring because it's something that I'm doing and you guys are just listening, but just hang along with me just a bit. Yeah, and let me use this text. Contact ACCA member for more information, and then you add 0, 300, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let's change it to white. Contact for more information, ACCA member, which is mostly a name, and then the mobile number. So again, call to action right at the end. Let's change this to a thicker font. so it stands out more. So let me put this into a slideshow. So you see, just in like 5-10 minutes with no slide template available, I think you can easily create a template that is in line with the brand guidelines of the company. So you have the same blue, or more or less the same blue. You have the company logo, you have the fonts, then you have like a simple template of how the content should be like, and then you have like a ending slide with the company logo and uh, some call to action right there. So this is how I normally make slide templates, and I sort of have like 2 or 3 slides which I follow throughout the slide deck, and I don't deviate from that a lot. My simple rule again is to have lines in mind. For example, since I did this roughly, but this particular image should, yeah, exactly, this should be half of the slide. And since this line is what I followed initially, this particular guide, because this is followed here as well, so it's ending here as well. So it has that symmetry or continuity to it as well. So that sort of adds to the value. And if I were to refine it more, so I would say I don't want this particular date to be here. I want it to start from this particular guideline. But since this is auto-generated, how would I do that? And I just simply and just want to touch a bit about Slide Master, just a little bit, not much, because that's a completely big, sea of uh, what you can call functions that you can go into and then make a lot of things happen. So for example, you need to go to view, the tab view, and then you need to click on slide master. All right. So what is slide master? A slide master is a template already available that you can customize, and every single slide in that template that you use in the PowerPoint would be exactly the same that you've designed here. For example, this is the master slide. The master slide has uh, the the date and the numbers here. So I want these to be a bit more on the edges. So I'll just drag them there, and I'll just drag this here. Yeah. And then when I close Slide Master, you can see now these are both at the end now. So on all of the slides, all of them. Let's see what happens if I add something. So for example, I don't want this to be added every single time. I don't want to copy and paste this here. So what I do is I'll go to view, I'll go to slide master. On the main slide, I'll just paste the logo there. Now this particular logo will appear in all of the slides. Look at this, in this particular template style, in this style, this, all of these. You see that logo because it's up there in the master slide. When I close the master slide, you'll see this appearing in all of the slides. Even when I add a new slide, you see the company logo there. And that's how you start building company templates. Now for example, let's take another example, and again in the slide master part, you see this is what, if you go to home, this is Calibri font, this is also Calibri font, but we know that the font of the company is a bit different, and we know that what the font or the style that we've done is we've taken the content a bit to the edge, and we've squeezed that part also. So let me change this to the font that we've used, which is Bonsret, and that's extra bold. Yeah, it changes. Let me decrease the size as well, and let's change this particular aspect as well. Let's change this to light, and let's decrease the size as well. So every single slide afterwards has the same style. So for this is too large, I want to decrease this, so it makes sense. Yeah, this makes sense now. Same goes for this is too large, let's decrease this, and let's sort of increase a little bit of space here, and then I think the rest looks fine. Go to slide master, close it. Now let's delete this slide. Now let's add any other new slide. Now it's following the same style. It has the logo, it has the title, and it's there. And this is exactly how, and all of those infographics that you see, all of those things that you see, that's all done through the slide master. Okay, so let me quickly look at one way of showing infographics and how to have that. I think that was one of the main objectives, to create that particular impact, and then I think we can jump into questions and we'll answer questions for the next 20-15 minutes. Okay, so I talked about flat icon. So flat icon allows you or gives you access to free icons available. And for example, let's look at logistics. Yeah, because logistics is the company that we're looking at. So it will give me a number of icons related to logistics. So this is like global logistics. I can simply right click, copy image, and paste it here. And you have a very good line icon with you. So for example, if you're saying introduction to the company, yeah, worldwide delivery. Very simple. I'm just doing this out of the, I'm just thinking of this. I don't know the company. I know the company is not like this, but just giving you an idea. So that's one. Worldwide delivery. Let's pick this one. Let's say we say that it's worldwide delivery, and pick any location that you want. For example, let me add this like another one. Same size now. Yeah, same size. Deliver anywhere. Yeah, you can have these two here on this side, and you can talk about content, or you want to sort of talk. Let me add company text from the company, like let's add about a section here. So this is the business. Range Fruits Company is general trading company. Let's add this here. Yeah. So we have this company, and forget about the a lot of text part. Let's consider this like a company profile, something, because we need a lot of information to describe the company. So let's have something of that sort. Yeah. So we have these two paragraphs talking about the introduction, and then you have these two icons here talking about what the company is about. This, increase the size this way. Let's change the font. This, increase the size, so it looks nice. Yeah. So now if I go into slide mode, you can easily see that when you start. So even if I don't read the text that I have on the left side, I can just look at these two icons or mini infographic to see how what the company does. So so immediately in the slide, because the introduction is bold, my eyes will go to the introduction, and they'll go to the other two bold icons, which are worldwide delivery and delivery anywhere. So I think this is how you sort of capture, because again, you have to think about it from a design perspective. So the text size and the font style is a bit different. I am controlling the eye of the audience. And if I had rain floods logo in black, I think that will be the fourth thing that the individual sees. So it's introduction about rain floods, and it talks about worldwide delivery and delivery anywhere. And let's also add like a complex, or maybe something, a chart maybe. Let's add a column chart. And let's add text to it, and let's add some icons there so that it becomes like a big infographic. Okay, so I think that's it. Category 1, trucks, containers, cars, BI bikes. So the delivery is done through a lot of it. So it's like 2000 2019, 2020, and 2021. Let's assume these are like sales numbers or whatever. Yeah. So this is one information. So I'm assuming that since you guys have are accountants, you must have played a little bit with Excel. And I think a lot of charts have been made by yourself. So I'm not going to do a lot of details in the chart front. Yeah, but I'll go into the beautification part of the chart front as well. So let's say that these are performance, 3-year performance, 3-year performance. Yeah. And one rule that I talked about, I think this is a good time to share that as well. So a heading with a subheading, consistent improvement in sale numbers for bikes and containers. Yeah. And let's have this underneath the main heading. All right. So what I talked about initially was while building the stories. So forget about the graph that you have underneath. Just look at the heading. We are talking about 3-year performance, and right underneath the heading you have consistent improvement in sale numbers for bikes and containers. That's it. So a very high level information is already with me without looking at the content. We're talking about rain floods, we're talking about performance, and what do we know about performance? That the sales number of two particular products or channels is consistently improving, and that's bikes and containers. And that's what what I meant when I said that all of these McKinsey's, BCG, Bain, etc. They follow this. So you look at the heading, and by heading I mean the main and the subheading, both the headings, and then forget about the content. That's all I need to know about the slide deck. Let's now continue to sort of improve this, because the company has a lot of blue in it. So yeah, I think this is much better. Let's use this. Let's also change the font. So a good way of changing the font using the graph is to just select the graph and go and select the font that you want to be used. It will change the font. Okay. So I want them to not read trucks, containers, cars, and bikes. I want to show them trucks, containers, cars, and bikes. So a good way would be to, again, go to, flight icon, your best friend, and, get those bikes and stuff icons from there. Yeah, so I think we don't have a bicycle. We have like a bike. I think a motorbike would help. Yeah, so let's use this. He looks like he's delivering something. Copy this, have it here, and let's show it here. Let's put it on top. We do that with with the cars. I think this is the last boring stuff, guys, that you will be able to see, and let's get into questions afterwards. And by the way, the icons that I'm using are called line icons. Line icons mean that these are outlines of the objects that I want to use. Trucks. Let's use this one. Let's use the trucks here. And lastly, we have containers. Shipping, this is a good container. That's it. So, and then let's say we sort of add this text explaining what the information is like. Let's decrease the text. Just assume this talks about the company performance. And let's have it like this. So here you are. So just to wrap it, how infographics are way of how show. Sorry. So we have a graph talking about performance. You see the heading, you see what the slide is going to talk about, then you get a bit of details, and then you have certain so try not to focus on infographic being a lot of um, cool stuff. Infographic is very simple. Infographic is information that is given or transmitted graphically. So infographics. So if I want to talk about bikes, and stuff like that, so how can I add value to this more by instead of just showing the bikes and the cars, the containers, and the trucks. I've talked about the bikes and the containers being good in sales. So without even looking at the numbers, for example, you have like numbers there. Let me add chart element, and let's add data labels outside. So you have all of these numbers. Sorry, let me add data labels outside. So you have all of these numbers. People don't want to go into detail. Again, you want to keep it as simple as possible. Let's add an arrow behind these two line icons. Something like this. Again, this is an infographic. It turns into an infographics. The more simple you keep it, the more simplified you have it. Again, the same rule. If your grandma can understand what's happening in the slide, I think that's you achieved what you're trying to do. I'll have something like this. So what's happening here now? So you'll see that containers and bikes, you are showing the numbers, you're talking about the numbers as well, but graphically it starts to build up now. You're talking about bikes, you're talking about containers, these two are improving. Now let's add further value to how do I add further value to it, and how do I use animation to do so, for example. That's the last thing I promise. Let's add a box on top of this. Let's have a black outline and no fill so that it seems like this, and let's thicken the line of the box as well, something like this. Yeah, and I say that I need the arrows and the boxes to appear when I want them to appear. And I also want to talk about the containers and the bikes, and I want to differentiate between the two, which of these two are more than the other in terms of consistent improvement, for example. So I would say something like this. This is again thinking out loud. You need to see a lot of other presentations, how people are presenting, how people are doing, to get an idea of how you can use different elements to emphasize or improve the information that you're showing. Just ensuring that nothing is cut or anything. So let's show this as green, and let's show this as amber, for example. Yeah. And now I want the amber one to come first. Amber one, I'm signifying this as, although it's improving, but it's not improving as we expected. That's what I want to show. So I'll go into animations. I'll select fade, and I've selected both of them, both of the two items, because I want both of them to appear at once. And then I'll do the same with this. I'll select both these two objects, and then I'll select fade. So I'll have these two. Now you have 1 and 2. You have 2 clicks on these slides. Now if I go into slide mode, I can start off by showing or this, and I can have everything, by the way, on animation, but let's not get into that. So I'll say that bikes and containers are improving in sales. Bikes is improving, but it's lagging behind as compared to containers. Now what's happening? Now you've done it graphically. You've shown them that performance is increasing. You've shown them about what category it's increasing, and then you also shown them that between bikes and containers, containers are improving more. So if somebody focuses, if you put your hands in on both sides of the content above, below, right and left of the green container, you can simply understand what's happening. Container sales are improving year on year to 2019, 20, and 21. You'll get that idea immediately. And this is sort of how you sort of build infographics, put in content, have that available, and have content available in a format or in a way that even if animations are not being able to play, if you send this in a PDF format, they'll again know what you're talking about. So if you have animations and you have things on top of each other, when you'll save it in PDF, it will not be visible at all. So I'll stop here and I'll go back into some of the questions and see if I am bombarded with a lot of questions or not. All right, repeat the chart kindly. What is the best site for photos like flat icon? So for photos, Furkan, I said Unsplash. I think that's a good. I think Feroz has checked that. I've tried disconnecting and reconnecting. I think. Why did you leave the other half blank? On the last slide, I think. Sayeda Nakwi.
Yes, Ali. He's asking about the last slide.
Yeah, all right. So, but trust me, there's no hard and fast rule for this. I just felt like it. The best way to judge a slide is to see whether if it looks good or not. So if I had this slide right here like this in front of you, if it's looking bad, if you really feel that it looks bad, then it's bad. But if you think that that blank space is gives it like a designer format or a designer feel, something of a higher end brand. Because if you look at Nike, Nestle, Coca-Cola, and all of these other brands, when you look at their company profiles, they use a lot of blank, free space, negative space. Why? Because that's to emphasize, so what will happen is that you see all of this negative space, your eyes immediately go to the place where you have content, and within that content you again have a wide text that shows what the text is all, what information is there. So it's immediately there. You fix on it. It's there's no hard and fast rule. You can have it on the right side. I can place this text and this image on the right side as well. I have no issues. But it's just how I've seen people use styles and stuff. So there's no hard and fast rule. Again, since there's no brand guidelines available for this particular brand, we have an option of playing. But like I did with the Hatch brand, I think they've used blue because it signifies something. I'm not sure what. I need to do a little bit of research in that. And then you can sort of have like trucks, and you can have elements that show sort of movement of goods, or conveys something that tells them about the fact that it's about logistics. So I think that's where I would be in terms of why leaving that blank space. Please repeat the blinking box. Blinking box. Blinking box. Not sure what you mean about the blinking box.
The animation on the graph.
The animation on the graphs. All right. So by the animation on the graphs, I meant it depends on the scenario. For example, if the numbers are not showing, if the numbers are telling me a different story, I want to capture that story graphically. So the numbers are telling me in this particular example that I shared that the numbers for bikes and containers are improving. And I want to add value in this line as well. So I want to say that in between these two, you can't have it. I mean, there might be a situation that both of them are consistently improving, but let's for examples, just for an example, we say that the numbers of bikes are not improving as we want them to improve consistently, but the number of containers sales numbers are increasing. So I want to show this graphically rather than typing it. So I'll show this with a simple click that the bikes sale numbers are increasing, but um, what's increasing much better as compared to bikes is containers, apart from all of them, trucks, cars, etc., etc. So the first information when you see the slide is that trucks and cars don't have consistent improvement in sales. All right. Who do you have improvement in sales? You have improvement with bikes and containers. All right. What about bikes and containers improvement of sales? Bikes did not improve that well, containers improved well. Then you can go into further detail. Uh, Container sales improvement over the years, how was it? 2019, what was the situation? 2020, what was the situation in 2021? Was this the situation the entire 3 years that although there were like two products improving, were the containers improving as compared to between the two products or not? So you can add more value. It depends again on the audience. It depends on how much detail is required, and the more detail it's required, the more simpler you need to make the slides, because you need that information is important, and it's also important to show that information as simply as possible. So I think that would sort of answer the question. Do we change the chart types? Oh yes, definitely. If you want to go into a pie chart, you can go into pie chart. But the thing is, every particular chart has its own pros and cons. So if you have like a few variables, a pie chart is good. But if you have like 50, 60 variables, not 50, if you have like 8 or 10 variables, so in graphs the bars are very visible and you can see, but in a pie chart they'll sort of have the size of the pie will decrease, and when the size of the pie will decrease, it will not be visually that important. So you need to have that impact there as well. Although the pie chart might look nice, but it will not give you the good picture right off the bat. So I think it's better to avoid pie charts when you have a lot of variables. So that's one. Can I show my assignment? Definitely. Give me just a minute to look at all of if I've answered any questions. What is Canva used for? I think Canva is used for, if you visit Canva, you'll see that Canva is used for every single thing that you can think about in terms of design. You want to have your Facebook posts, you want to have your Instagram posts, you want to have um, you want to have a resume made, you want to have like a digital invitation made, you want to have a company profile. Everything is now available on Canva. You can have that. You want to have videos made on Canva, you can do that. You can you can take stock images and then you can add your text and animations and stuff, and you can make a stock video, a video that's related to you or your business. So that's where Canva is used. um
Are these platforms free, Ali?
yes, Canva is free.
Canva. Okay.
Canva is free. All of these that I've shared are free. The only thing happens is if you guys have played like any mobile game, so majority of the mobile game is free. But if you want to move ahead uh, on certain levels, you would have to pay. So in Canva, if you want to have like super cool effects in your videos, those super cool effects and formats would be for the premium users. All the normal effects would be available for free. So that's what happens. Even for flat icon, even for Unsplash, even for all those office templates, the really cool office templates will be paid. The medium or above average templates, just cool looking templates would be free.
Yeah, every time Ali's advised me to use Canva as well, and every time I would like a good picture, it will have a price tag and a crown underneath it saying it's premium. And every time I look at a boring picture, it will be free. That's the only price you have to pay for it, but otherwise it's very cool, cool for what
Yeah,
slide?
I mean, all the good
Website.
things, in this world have a price, which either you have to pay or somebody has to pay for you to enjoy that.
But
So
I
in
think you
order to
came pro
activate the
bono.
animation,
I
sorry,
said you came pro bono.
I came pro bono once. No, anytime, anytime. I think I don't know if you guys have seen or did some of a bit of research on me. So on LinkedIn, I just posted yesterday that my New Year's resolution is to help as many people as I can in within my surroundings. And since I've given a lot of time to ACC, I think um, I would, if you want to call me like number of times, in the future as well, I would definitely want to come because I can see that there are 200 people listening to me, and there's no other platform that would have given me this opportunity. So yeah, that's my New Year's resolution. I would urge you all to have that same. Try to improve lives of people around you this year. We've seen 2 very tough years because of COVID, because of the economy, because of people losing their jobs, etc., etc., and there's a lot of depression. People are tired mentally, etc. So try to help as many people as you can. All right. So in order to activate the animation, can we consider that as separate slide? I mean, we want to go next in the existing one. The slide won't change to the next one, right? So what I'm understanding from this question is, so all right. So what happens is that as soon as you add animations to a slide, the next slide would only appear when all of the animations are finished within the slide. So what you need to do is you need to um, rearrange or arrange the content in a way that the content appears how you want it to appear, and then you go into the next slide. But if you had noticed in one of my slides, what I've done is I've added links within those images. So when I click on that particular link, I go to that particular slide, and I jump back to the main slide. Why? Because I want them to understand. I want the users, you guys, to understand what the journey of the story building or the pitch deck making would look like. So I want to keep on coming back to the same slide so that it reappears and there's an increased likelihood that you would retain that particular image. So it was like template, then structure, story, animations, and then call to action. So all of this was on that particular slide. So that's why I wanted how I used animations for that. Even freedom is not free. Oh yes, definitely. I think everything good in life has something, um, a price tag next to it. It'll be good to work on Canva with gentlemen like you. Oh, definitely, why not? Face the same issue of premium again. That's a choice that you have to see whether if you want to fulfill or not in order to. Okay, so can we add animations in the video as well? Okay, so in videos, what you can do is you can control when the video would play, and you can also control the video duration or even some noises in the video. I think there's very few, um, I think what you call them, options available for video editing within PowerPoint. You can decrease the sound, you can increase the sound, you can add, and clip videos together. That's something that you can do on PowerPoint. But the animations within the video itself, I think that won't be possible unless you created a video using PowerPoint, and that's something you can do with PowerPoint as well. Very good New Year resolution. Thank you. I think I would want everybody else to have the same New Year resolution as well. I know I can't get 10, so this was that easier New Year resolution. Any question I've missed so far? Okay, so let's quickly look at thesis statement. You want me to repeat the thesis statement? All right, so Sajid, the thesis statement is very simple. So what happens is that in every essay, for example, you have an introductory paragraph. That introductory paragraph has enough information for you to be curious and then read the entire passage. And it tells you about the topic itself. So that particular sentence that tells you about the topic and what to expect is called the thesis statement. Um, a good example of this is all of the news channels, these digital news channels. So what happens is, open up Pakistan Today or maybe Prophet, or all of these publications. Look at how they present their headlines. So you have the main headline, and then you have one or two lines underneath it. So those lines underneath the heading is the thesis statement, because when you read that, you want to read more. It doesn't tell you enough, and it doesn't tell you so little that you lose interest. So that's just the right amount of information, and that also has fonts. Sorry, not fonts. That has like fear in it. That has humor in it. Depending on the situation. So that's a very good example of doing it. Why I use that particular example for PowerPoint is that when you start off your PowerPoint presentation, the things that you're speaking, they can have like a different we took we talked about rain flood to it. For example, the logistics company, and we talk figures, etc., etc. I know about performance figures. It's good for containers, and now I want to build a story. How would I build a story? I would show containers in the, for example, the title slide. I would talk about the vision of the company, and be very enthusiastic about the vision. Why? Because I know that whatever I've done in the previous year has allowed me to achieve that particular target. So I talked about the company, or I indirectly showed containers, and then I immediately got into the numbers. Talked about the containers having good numbers, and then when I come down to the call to action, I would say if you want to persist in having these sales numbers, I need A, B, C, D, E, and I think that's all the support I need. I'll thank some of my coworkers, departments that supported me in getting to this particular space. That's it. So that's how I build story. You need to know the content first, you need to know the objective, and then you need to know the audience. I think that will help answer that particular question. How to add chart? No sound. Mohammed Shahid, I think, please do check. How to add chart? I think it's very simple. You just go to insert and you look at the chart part. If I can show that quickly. Go to insert, and there's this chart element. Just click on that and you can select from number of charts that are available. I think
There is one thing that I wanted to talk about charts.
Sure.
So when you were talking about the type of charts. So for example, when saying pie versus bar graph versus line graph. So I think they're used for different purposes. If you want to talk about one element as a percentage of the entire population, right? You use a pie graph. But when you're comparing, for example, in this case, when you're comparing cars with bikes, with containers, right? That is when the comparison is drawn, and they're all individual products and they're not linked, right? That is when you use bar graph. But when you're talking about historical performance of, let's say, one particular item, for example, in that case, you may use a line graph. So, if you study statistics, this is what statisticians say about it, right? And then there are variations of line and pie and 3D pie and broken pie and all those are variations. But these simple principles, I think, I'm sure accountants would be able to take care of that. Yeah.
No, I'm sure. So the data dictates. No, you're absolutely right. The data dictates, what sort of chart needs to be used. You can prepare your charts in Excel and copy paste here. Yes, you can definitely. What will happen is that the format would change. Then you would only need to focus on the format so that it matches the entire theme of the slides. But you can do that. Conversation comparisons made in Excel. Can we copy charts from Excel and paste in PowerPoint? Yes, you can definitely. But when you paste, I think there's an option that you want to paste with the Excel embedded in the PowerPoint. What will happen is that if you change anything in your Excel and the Excel and the PowerPoint are present in the same folder, the chart in the PowerPoint will get immediately changed. So you don't have to change it twice. So when you embed it, when you link it, this happens. And when you embed it, you would have to click on the chart, edit data, and then change it. But I think if you're not sending the charts anywhere, I think linking it would be much better, because you'll need to change stuff only once. Can we see somebody's task that we've given? I think there's somebody that
Yes,
said.
definitely.
Rose, can you show?
Yes, whoever wants to show their presentation, just raise their hand. I'll make them the presenter and they can share their presentation with us. Asad, please raise your hand.
And I think the good thing would be for the individual not to say anything about the slide. And if the slide has been followed, if the instructions have been followed, we'll know what the slide is trying to tell us.
Oh, can you hear me,
Asad, you
sir?
have the
Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Yes.
First of all, thank you, sir. I just want to say that you just explained very well, and I have got a lot of learning from you. So basically, the task which I want to present here is I just thought a fictitious idea that there is an NGO who conducts a campaign around water resources saving. So I think
Mm-hmm.
the name of that NGO is Save Drop.
Save drop.
So let's start.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Save Drop. So I start with a question. Haven't you ever seen a desert? So the next one is
Mm-hmm.
the answer of this question. Maybe you or your children will see it soon, because the world is facing the issue of rapid reduction in water resources. So as just you said, I have used
Mm-hmm.
the picture according to the theme, which is representing the
Mm-hmm.
desert and the little patch of water behind it. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
I just created this one for now.
I think that's very nice. I think one area that you can add is a call to action. Um, so there is, the world is facing issues, in reduction in water resources, or drinkable or usable water resources. What do you want the audience to do?
Hmm.
You want the audience to save
Yes,
water.
that
You
would
want
be the
them to
next slide.
conserve or use water. Yeah, but I think you can have it in the same slide as well. I think the task was to have like one slide say it all. But yeah, you
Okay,
get the
okay.
point. You
Thank
get
you,
the
sir.
point. I mean, you can have it. You can create that particular urgency or that fear in one slide, and then when you move on to the next slide, you can say that, for example, you can build the story and say it's not too late right now. If you want your children to
Yes,
see, not to see a desert, if you want them to see greenery, here's what you need to do. Step 1, 2, and 3. Do it individually, and then you'll
yes.
make a difference. I think that's a good story that you can tell. Good job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. So I have another call with my Sri Lankan team, and it started. Can we take any questions? Feroz, you can take them with you, and I think we can I can like have an answer for all, and then I can share that with you guys later on, maybe.
Yes, I think, Ali, thank you very much. This was fantastic. I was glued to my seat as well. I wanted to learn all of these as well myself. So I think excellent, presentation, excellent ideas, spot on when you're talking about, the white space, spot on when you're talking about consistency of fonts, alignments, yeah, the choice of colors. I think these are essential elements. And then also when you're talking about speaking and matching it with the style in your presentation, it has to be stylish. It has to come across as very impressive. Thank you very much, Ali. I'm sure everyone, with the amount of questions and the engagement that I was noticing, I'm sure everyone enjoyed it. I'm sure there was learning for from many different aspects in it. Thank you very much for your time. I will definitely share the
Thank you.
feedback with you. I'm sure all of you are going to, in your WhatsApp group, discuss what was done today and inspire others who were not able to attend. So thank you very much, Ali. I know you have to go. It's time for another meeting. Good luck with that. And we will definitely call you back once as a judge now. So once I give them a task on making a presentation on international case study, I will bring you in as a judge to watch performance. Thank you very
All right.
much. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you.
And
Thank
participants
you.
also take good care of yourselves as well.